Hello, hey, sweet people. It is Foster from Inglês no Cru, and welcome to another day of the First Impressions Challenge. So today, and for the next few days, we are going to talk about questions. Why? Because questions are fundamental to any conversation. Someone asks you a question, and you give them a response. That is the way that almost all conversations begin. And obviously, there are a lot of different questions that we can ask in English. So today, we are going to focus on a specific type of question, questions that begin with the question word, how. So let's get started. Oh, and as always, I am here with the one, the only, Alexia. Alexia, how are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Did you see that, Alexia?
What?
How are you doing?
Oh, yes, I did. We are going to use the word how a lot today.
Yes, we will. So, Alexia, do you understand what I mean when I say question words?
Yeah, I think so. Question words are the words at the beginning of a question, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much right. So, naturally, we can ask questions in a lot of different ways using a lot of different words, but most questions in English begin with who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So we have 5 words that begin with the letter W: who, what, when, where, and why. And then we have the word how.
Yeah, the how is very lonely with all the W words.
I know, poor how. But that's exactly why I thought that it would be a good idea to give how a little bit of extra attention today and start with that word. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, I think it deserves it. So let's get started.
Perfect. Let's begin. So, just to get started, let's start with some listening and repeating so that we can be really comfortable. So, what I was thinking is I will say a question that begins with the word how. We will take a short moment of pause so that our students can repeat, and then you can repeat. Okay?
Okay, I think I got it. Let's do it.
Okay. So, let's get started. I will say a question, wait a few seconds, and then you will repeat. Is that cool?
Okay.
Cool. So, first, how are you?
How are you?
Perfect. So, one more time, how are you?
How are you?
How's it going?
How's it going?
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Nice. I like how you're changing up the intonation a little bit. That's really important with questions. How have you been?
How have you been?
How have you been?
How have you been?
How you been?
How been?
What? How you been?
How you been?
Yeah, a lot of times when we ask questions, we kind of remove the verb. So instead of what are you doing? Sometimes in normal conversations, we will say, what are you doing?
Just like Joey. How you doing?
Exactly. How's everything?
How's everything?
How are things with you?
How are things with you?
How are things going?
How are things going?
Excellent. Great job, Alexia. That was pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I like that. Super easy. I'm ready for more.
Okay, cool. So just a quick note, when people in English ask, how are you? Normally they're not usually specifically referring to your emotions and health and situation.
It's not like a therapy session.
Exactly. This is simply part of the process, it's part of the introduction. And in general, they're looking for something like, oh, I'm good, pretty good. Just things like that. Okay?
Yeah, it's pretty similar in Portuguese, so it makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's more or less the same. It's kind of a shame that we don't really care too much about how people are doing, but that is a topic for another episode.
Yeah, things can get really complicated.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some really common questions that begin with how. So now let's think of some good responses to these questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so same thing here, Alexia. I will say a phrase. Let's just wait a moment so our students can repeat, and then you repeat. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Cool. So the first response, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I say this all of the time.
That's
How are
true.
you doing? Pretty good. How's it going? Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm doing pretty well.
I'm doing pretty well.
Everything's good.
Everything is good.
Nice. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I can't complain.
I can't complain.
Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Nice. That's another thing that we do a lot with questions. Sometimes we will take away the subject. So what I'm really saying is, I can't complain. Everything's good. But in more conversational English, we will simply say, can't complain.
Awesome.
Cool. So any questions about those questions?
No, I think everything is okay.
Excellent.
I can't complain.
Can't complain. No complaints. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about today, Alexia, are some common follow-up questions. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say follow-up questions?
I think so. It's like when you are following up, you are giving a response to the question.
Yeah, precisely. So just one quick pronunciation note in the word response in American English, the second sound is the response.
Response.
Precisely. So you are responding to the question. Obviously, sometimes in English we have yes or no questions where it's a very simple answer. You say yes or no, and that is the end of the story. But most of the time, you want to continue the conversation. You want to keep things going with a follow-up, right?
Yes, that makes sense. It's just like you were playing tennis. Do you know what I mean? Like you were hitting the ball, and then I'm hitting the ball, and then you are hitting the ball, and then I'm hitting the ball, and this continues forever.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. So I am hitting the ball to you, and then you are returning it to me.
Or ping pong. Yeah.
Tennis, ping pong, whatever. That's how conversations work. So do you want to try a few common follow-up responses?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. What about you?
What about you? What?
Yeah, it's not I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, oh, I'm good. What about you?
What about you?
Nice. And you?
And you?
How are you?
How are you?
Yeah. So if someone says, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
It's always nice to follow it up. What about you?
What about you? I use this last two very, very much.
Yeah, these are both really important, and we will talk a lot more about them, but follow-ups are your friends. That was perfect. Really good job, Alexia.
Thank you very much. You're A+ student.
As always. So I think that is a good start for today. Tomorrow we will start putting this all together so we can have our first real conversation, and we can really start making progress towards making a great first impression. How does that sound, Alexia?
That sounds great. So I'll see you tomorrow.
How does that sound? How question?
Okay, I think everyone noticed.
How are people going to deal with me every day making these stupid jokes?
I don't know how, but we will because we love you.
Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.